Okay, Mom, because we all think that you and Dad had something so special, we'd like to hear how you met. And the first thing that comes to my mind is, and if there's something before that, say it, but when you were at high school and how you spotted him, but you thought maybe Isla was his girlfriend.
It really was strange, all right. Dad was working in Glasgow, and this was the summer before going into the senior year, and he was transferred to Harlem. Well, that summer, I wasn't too well. I had hay fever so bad and everything, I lost so much weight. Anyway, I went to Billings to stay with my girlfriend on her farm until school started. And the climate there and everything agreed with me real well. So when I got back to Harlem, I was a day late to school. And I walked into school and I saw another girl that had moved there from Glasgow. And so I went over and I was sitting on the edge of her desk. And I heard later that Isla had spotted me coming in to school. And she told her brother, "Get a load of that," she says.
Oh.
You gotta meet her. But I didn't know anything about this. And of course that first day I saw Neil there. And he was in some of my classes, and I thought, oh, yeah, sure, I'd like to get to know him. I really had my heart set right off the bat. But later on, every time I saw him, he was with this other young girl, and they were so close. He would talk to her every chance they got at school, and he'd wait for her after school and carry her books for her. I'd see them coming to school in the morning together. They'd be walking together. And he always carried her books. Always seemed to be so attentive and everything. And they had to pass my place on the way to school. And so, of course, I wanted very much to meet him and to get to know him. But no way was I going to step in between the two of them.
When you said you had to pass your place, you mean your house?
Yeah.
Oh, how neat.
Mm-hmm. Walked right by there. Anyway,
so what did you do? Walk behind on the way to school? Wait till
no,
he goes?
either behind or ahead. Anyway, I never walked with them. And I found out later that they had been trying to catch me so they could walk to school with me. And it just wasn't going to be. Well, a few weeks, and it seems to me like it was almost a month after school started that they had the freshman initiation dance and everything. And they had this big dance planned. Anyway, I went with a girlfriend. And I thought, well, maybe that would be a chance to meet. But like I said, I wasn't going to step in because he seemed to be going with this girl, and her name was Isla, and his name was Neil, but I didn't know their last name, either one of them. And we had a new teacher there too for shorthand and typing, and Mrs. LaValle. And so that night when we was all, before the dance started, we were in there talking, and some of the kids were talking around with Mrs. LaValle and introducing her, telling her what this one's name was and that, because she was new there too. And Isla was with us. We were just a bunch of us girls together. And all of a sudden, one of the girls said, "Oh, Isla, here comes Neil." And he just walked in the door. And she immediately turned around and walked over to him. And she didn't come back to the group. She spent time with him. So I thought, well, there goes that, When one of the girls spoke up to Mrs. LaValle, she says, "You'd never know they were brother and sister, would you?"
Bingo.
And bingo is right. But for some reason that night, they were going to, after the dance, they decided that they was going to go to some country school where they were having another dance, and some of the teachers were going along and everything. But I don't know what happened. Isla had made a date for Neil with one of the other girls.
That didn't help.
It didn't, well, it didn't help as far as that goes, but before we left the dance, he had asked me for the next weekend.
Okay.
So So, and from then on, we dated. And it was well known around the school that we were going together and going steady.
Now, at that time, did he call you Penny?
He only very rarely did he ever call me Penny. All the other kids did, but he didn't. In fact, I can't really say. He just called me Wilma, I guess. He just, the other kids in school all called me Penny. And that came down from some of those that had come from Glasgow and were transferred there too, that the nickname held. There was another boy at school that he was, thought he felt himself really quite something. And he dated all the kids and everything, all the girls. And then he got talking to me a lot and kept asking me, you know, go out sometime. I'll show you what a good time is. Do this and we'll do that, you know. And you never get home early. I'll show you what a good time is. And anyway, word got around to Neil. And he didn't like the idea very well. And they were both boxers. Neil boxed there at school, and this kid said that where he come from, that he had been a boxer. He could handle himself. So one day, Neil invited him down to the gym. And they had a little match. I wasn't asked out again.
Do I take it Dad won?
He did. He used to go on tournaments and things for the wrestling and boxing. So he was pretty well known in Harlem. Of course, Harlem was a real small town. You know, it was, I think population was only 350. But they made tournament trips to Havre and the other places around. And in the junior year, or the years before, he had always been in the sports and been in all the tournaments. But the kids blamed me when he didn't go on any more tournaments in his senior year, but he was having a problem. And of course, we never found out what the problem was until after we were married so long. Jim was a baby. And he had a growth that was bothering him so bad that he would just double up with pain. Well, anyway, he didn't go on any of the tournaments. He wrestled a couple of matches, I think, in the senior year.
Was that his only sports, was wrestling and boxing?
I don't recall that he played in the. He wasn't very big, so he didn't play in the. He wasn't tall for basketball. I don't remember that he played basketball or football or any of these. I think his sports were mostly wrestling and boxing. And of course, it was in the light weight. He was only 120 some pounds. But anyway, we went together all that year. And
so you met in the junior year?
No, this was the senior year.
Oh, this was all senior year.
All senior year, yeah. But we went together all that year. And when he gave me my engagement ring, that was kind of cute because we used to go
walking. Was that still
every
in
day.
school? You got your
no,
engagement ring?
It was
after.
After.
Oh, I was going to say
after we graduated. Yeah. No.
The year after?
During the summertime.
Oh.
Because we used to go walking a lot, and when during the afternoon on his lunch break or something, maybe he would come, maybe we would go for a walk or something, and we were over at the schoolyard. And I was sitting in the swing, just swinging a little bit, you know, and he gave me my ring. So I can't remember that he ever actually came out in words and asked me to marry him, but everything was there. It was just taken for granted.
What kind of dates did you go on?
Well, there wasn't an awful lot to do around Harlem. It was such a small place. We went to the shows, and he didn't have a lot of money, so we had to kind of budget. He didn't have a lot to spend. So we'd go to a movie, And then afterward, we'd go over. Fripp's had a little restaurant there, and quite a few times anyway. We didn't do it always, but when he had enough money, we'd go over and have a sandwich afterward. And then we'd take a walk or something. It was sometimes after school, we'd go to, I can't think of the Halsey's, little drugstore, and they had a little, few little booths in the back. It was kind of an ice cream store like. And we'd go and have us some pop with 2 straws.
Oh, 1 pop and 2 straws.
Yeah.
Seen that in the movies.
And these places, if you went back now to look, it would be like you were stepping back. Well, you've seen the movies where you go back at these times. 1938. There were the little chairs with the little round tables and the chairs. With
Are you saying it's
the
still
wire.
there?
I haven't been to Harlem to see that this is still there like that. But when Mary Ellen and I went back to Glasgow, we stopped at Nashua, which is another small town by Glasgow. And we went into one of the little drugstores there that still had. And it was just like a little hole in the wall, you know. I mean, they were so different. It was like you would just walk back into time. We did, there they had wood boardwalks, you know. And, but in Harlem, of course, they had this cement block.
Well, after Dad gave you your engagement ring, did you show Grandma Duncan?
This was something else again. She had cancer while we were going to school, so in the senior year. And she thought, I don't know, I can't remember if I had the ring before. No, I don't think so, because she passed away just before his graduation.
Oh.
Pretty sure that was in 38. And so she didn't know we were engaged, but she was always thought that we were secretly married.
Oh, even before she...
Yeah, she just, and she had it in her heart so bad that we were to get together, that she just surmised that we were. And of course we weren't. But, we used to take, in the winter time when the snow was, we had so much snow there. And we'd go, it wasn't very far, we'd walk out of town, and there was the hills, you know, and in these big snowdrifts and stuff, and we'd find a place where we could find a little wood and build a bonfire, and then we'd roast hot dogs and marshmallows and have a little picnic. We were generally by ourselves always.
You sort of left Isla alone then. Or she left you alone after that.
She quit school. She was younger. She was a freshman when we were seniors, and when she just was only a few months in school, and she quit.
Oh.
And then she got married. She got married before we did, and she married Ainer. And so they were out in the country.
Mm.
But that's kind of hard for me to remember just exactly when she got married either. Claudia and Roy were married about the same time too.
As
before we were, no,
oh,
yeah, before we were too. So, it's kind of hard, I don't remember just exactly when it was. But no, we went by ourselves most always on these. We did go out one time. It was kind of funny. We used to take a little rifle out and go out and practice shooting too. Shoot at tin cans and stuff. Our entertainment, you didn't have television then. You had radio, you know. But generally, when you wanted to be alone, you were out and out for walks and things, you know, like this. And went to the movie. Sometimes we'd play cards at the house. That's when Eugene would chomp an apple in our ear or eat my box of candy or something like that. He was always
a typical brother.
Yeah. Use all the hot water so I couldn't get ready for a date. Or, you know, he was always a big tease. It's kind of fun to think back on it, though, because sometimes some of the things were a little irritating, but that was Eugene. He was a big tease. Vincent went with us out one time when we were going out with the rifle, and he and Isla and Neil and I went together. It was fun. We just walked way out in the country.
Shot rabbits or?
No, well, we just picked up cans and set them up. I wasn't much at shooting any rabbits or anything, and so we just shot it in cans. It wasn't too bad a shot either, I'll tell you. It hit them. But we were, we were transferred back to Glasgow, so then I had to leave Neil back to Glasgow. And he would come down on weekends sometimes then to visit. And I worked in town, and folks were out at Port Head. Then at Christmas, he came back. He came to Glasgow to spend Christmas with us. And oh, the snow was so bad, I didn't think he was going to make it. He said all the way, he borrowed his brother's car.
Which brother?
Fred's. No, let me see, was it? Royce. And he drove down. He said, oh my, so much of the, there was so much snow. There was so many cars in the ditch all along the road. And of course, he didn't do too bad, but it was slow. So he didn't get there till I think it was after midnight, and I had just given up. I just didn't think he was.
Was that Christmas Eve or?
Yes. Mm-hmm. No, not Christmas Eve. It was the day before. Because Christmas Eve, then we went out. He came into Glasgow, and then we went to Port Peck, and then we drove back into Glasgow for midnight mass. And oh, it was beautiful. We had snowflakes coming down that large, and just as soft and pretty as could be, you know. It just, when you see these winter scenes, that's what that was like. And of course you had to, I thought I was pretty fancy. I had a pretty green coat with a little brown beaver collar, and it had brown beaver on the sleeves. And I had a white parka that this was all the thing in Montana at that time when it was so cold and everything. And it's a knit hood cap that has kind of a scarf on the bottom that you tie. And it had a little fur around the edge of it. And I had white boots that had a little fur around there. And I just thought I was pretty nifty.
I bet you were.
All dressed up. But, and the snow just was coming down, so it was coming down heavy. But it was just like the scenes you see, especially on Christmas cards when you see these old-time cards. Talk about them. Those old-time cards were old-time cards to me, but now, when I think back, that's what we would look like to you. And while he was there, we went ice skating. They had a pond there at Port Peck, and we went ice skating. We went to movies and things like this.
How long did he stay when he came for Christmas?
Well, only a few days because he had to get back to work.
Now you were just engaged, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. This was at Christmas, and then see, we were married in January the 22nd.
The fall that January.
Christmas was Christmas of '38, and January was 40, and we were married then.
39.
And he came down on the train, and we got on the train, and for the weekend, and we went to Williston, North Dakota. Well, when we went there to get our license to get married, why, we found out we couldn't do that. We had to go back to Montana. So we got back on the train and we went back to Wolf Point, where we were married at Wolf Point then. And it was snowing there too, of course, in January. Big snow month. But of course, you don't get very cold. We were warm.
Was this this wasn't then a parish that you belonged to or
No.
anything, so